Lucy Martinez pressed her small face against the cold glass window of the transport shuttle. The city below looked like a maze of silver and gold buildings that reached toward the clouds. She had never seen anything so big and shiny before. Her home was in the old part of town where the buildings were brown and short and sometimes the lights did not work. "Stop touching the glass with your face," her mother Maria said in a quiet voice. "We need to look nice today." Lucy pulled back and wiped the fog her breath had made on the window. She looked at her mother, who sat next to her with straight shoulders and worried eyes. Maria wore her only good dress, the blue one she saved for church and important days. Her hands were folded tight in her lap, and Lucy could see the small gold chain around her neck. At the end of that chain was the ring that belonged to Daddy before he went away and never came back. The shuttle slowed down and landed with a soft bump. Through the speakers came a voice that sounded like a robot. "Welcome to Galactic Industries Tower. Please exit through the rear doors." Lucy grabbed her mother's hand as they walked down the ramp. The air outside tasted different here. It was clean and had no smell at all. Back home, the air always smelled like cooking food or old cars or the flowers that grew wild by their apartment building. The lobby of Galactic Industries was the biggest room Lucy had ever seen. The floor was made of black stone that showed her face like a mirror. The walls went up so high she had to bend her neck all the way back to see the top. People in nice clothes walked around with quick steps and serious faces. They all looked important and busy. "Can I help you?" A woman behind a tall desk looked down at Lucy and Maria. Her voice was polite, but her eyes were not friendly. "We got this letter," Maria said. She pulled out a piece of white paper from her purse. Her hands shook a little as she gave it to the woman. The woman read the letter, and her face changed. She looked surprised, and maybe a little scared. "Please, wait here. Someone will come for you soon." Lucy and Maria sat on chairs that were too big and too soft. Lucy's feet did not touch the floor. She swung her legs back and forth and watched all the people walking around. Everyone looked the same to her. They all wore dark suits and carried small computers and talked in low voices. "Why are we here, Mama?" Lucy asked. The letter said something about Daddy's work, about money they owe us. Maria's voice was small and tired. Lucy did not understand about money and work. She only knew that Daddy went away when she was 3 years old and never came back. Mama said he was a soldier and he died being brave. Sometimes Lucy dreamed about him, but his face was getting hard to remember. A group of men walked into the lobby, and everyone else stopped what they were doing. They all turned to look at these men, and some people even moved out of their way. The man in the front was tall and had gray hair and wore a suit that looked more expensive than anything Lucy had ever seen. "That must be the boss," someone whispered. The tall man was talking to other men in suits. They all nodded when he spoke and wrote things down on their computers. Lucy watched him because he looked important and powerful. He moved like he owned everything around him. Then Lucy saw something that made her heart jump. On the man's hand was a ring. It was gold and had the same shape as the ring her mother wore on the chain around her neck, the same ring that belonged to Daddy. Lucy stood up from her chair. "Mama, look at his hand." Maria looked where Lucy was, pointing, and her face went white. Her hand went up to touch the chain around her neck. "It looks just like Daddy's ring," Lucy said. "Sit down, Lucy. We should not stare at people." But Lucy could not sit down. She had to know about the ring. Maybe this man knew her daddy. Maybe he could tell her what happened to him. Before Maria could stop her, Lucy walked across the big lobby toward the group of men. "Hi, sir," Lucy said to the tall man. All the men stopped talking and looked down at her. Some of them frowned like she was bothering them, but the tall man just stared at her with wide eyes. "My mother has a ring just like yours," Lucy said. She pointed at his hand. "But what happened to my daddy?" The man's face went very pale. He looked at Lucy like he had seen a ghost. His mouth opened, but no words came out. "Sir," one of the other men said, "should we call security?" The tall man held up his hand to stop them. He got down on one knee, so his face was level with Lucy's face. Up close, she could see that his eyes were blue and sad. "What is your name, little girl?" he asked. Lucy Martinez. My daddy was Carlos Martinez. He was a soldier, but he died, and Mama says he was brave. The man closed his eyes for a moment like her words hurt him. When he opened them again, they were wet like he might cry. Where is your mother, Lucy? Lucy pointed back to where Maria was sitting. Maria had stood up and was walking toward them. She looked scared and sorry. I am so sorry, sir, Maria said when she reached them. Lucy should not have bothered you. The man stood up slowly. He looked at Maria for a long time, then he looked at the small chain around her neck. May I see the ring? He asked in a quiet voice. Maria's hand went to the chain. She pulled it out from under her dress. At the end was a simple gold ring with strange marks on it. The man stared at the ring and his whole body went still. He held up his own hand and showed them his ring. It was exactly the same. My name is Richard Kane, he said, and I knew your husband very well. Richard Kane led Lucy and Maria to a small room away from all the people in the lobby. The room had soft chairs and a table with water and cookies. Lucy had never seen cookies that looked so perfect and white. Please sit down, Richard said. His voice was different now. Not like a boss talking to workers, but like someone who was sad and tired. Maria sat on the edge of her chair and kept her hands folded tight. Lucy climbed into the big chair next to her and looked around the room. Everything was clean and expensive looking. Tell me about the ring, Richard said to Maria. How long have you had it? It came back with Carlos's things when he died, Maria said. 5 years ago. The army men said he died in a fight on some planet far away. They gave me this ring and a flag and said he was a hero. Richard closed his eyes and rubbed his face with his hands. They told you he died in the Outer Rim conflicts? Yes. They said it was classified and they could not tell me more. They lied to you, Richard said. Lucy watched her mother's face go white. What do you mean? Richard stood up and walked to the window. He looked out at the city below for a long time. When he turned back to them, his eyes were red. Carlos Martinez was the best soldier I ever knew. He saved my life more times than I can count. We served together in a unit that was so secret, it does not exist in any government files. I don't understand, Maria said. 12 men were chosen for a special mission. We were told we were going to fight aliens who wanted to destroy Earth, but when we got there, we learned the truth was much different. Lucy leaned forward in her chair. This sounded like the adventure story she read at school. The aliens were not trying to hurt us, Richard continued. They were trying to save us. Earth was in danger, but not from them. There was something wrong with space itself around our planet, like a crack that was getting bigger. A crack in space? Lucy asked. Yes. The aliens told us that this crack would eventually tear apart everything around Earth. All the planets and stars would be destroyed. They had been looking for someone who could fix it. Maria shook her head. This sounds like a story from a movie. Richard walked over to them and sat down. He held up his hand with the ring. These rings are made from alien metal. Only 12 were made. They were given to the soldiers who volunteered to go inside the crack and seal it shut. My daddy went inside a crack in space? Lucy's eyes went wide. Your father was the first one to volunteer. He said he had a wife and daughter to protect. The rest of us followed him because he was the bravest man we knew. Lucy felt proud and scared at the same time. Her daddy really was a hero. What happened when you went inside? Maria asked. Richard's face got dark. The crack was full of energy that no human had ever seen before. It changed us, made us different. We managed to seal the crack, but the energy got into our bodies. That's what killed him, Maria said. It was not a question. The energy killed all of us slowly. Some died right away. Others lived for a few years. Carlos lived the longest because he was the strongest. But we all knew we were going to die. The room got very quiet. Lucy could hear the sound of cars far below on the streets. Why didn't the government tell me the truth? Maria asked. Because they were scared. What we did was impossible according to human science. The government decided to hide everything and pretend we died in a normal war. They thought people would panic if they knew aliens were real and that space could crack. Richard stood up again. and walked around the room. He looked angry now. After the mission, I used what I learned from the aliens to start this company. I became rich by selling their technology, but I never forgot the men who died with me. You're not dead, Lucy said. I should be. The energy should have killed me years ago, but I've been using alien medicine to stay alive. I've been waiting. Waiting for what? Richard looked at Lucy with his sad blue eyes. Waiting for the children. Maria grabbed Lucy's hand. What children? The energy that changed us also changed our DNA, our genetic code. Scientists discovered that the children of Unit 0 soldiers inherited something special, abilities that normal humans don't have. Lucy felt a strange tingling in her stomach. What kind of abilities? The power to control the energy that comes from cracks in space. The aliens said that only the children could learn to use it safely. But Lucy is just a normal little girl, Maria said. Richard shook his head. She's not normal. None of the Unit 0 children are normal. That's why I've been looking for all of you. Looking for us? The crack we sealed 17 years ago is opening again. It's bigger this time, and there are more of them appearing all over human space. Normal weapons and ships can't stop them. Lucy felt scared but also excited. And you think I can stop them? I think you might be humanity's only hope, Richard said. But using these abilities is dangerous. It might kill you just like it killed your father. Maria stood up fast and pulled Lucy behind her. No, I won't let you hurt my daughter. I don't want to hurt her, Richard said. But if we don't do something, everyone will die. Every human in the galaxy. Lucy looked at her mother's scared face, and then at Richard's sad face. She thought about her daddy being brave and saving people. She thought about all the families like hers who might lose someone they loved. How do I know if I have these special abilities? Lucy asked. Richard smiled, for the first time since they met him. Hold your mother's ring. Lucy looked at the ring hanging from her mother's neck. It looked like any normal ring, but now she knew it was made from alien metal. Her hands felt sweaty as she reached out to touch it. Lucy? No, Maria said and stepped back. It's okay, Mama. I need to know. Lucy's small fingers wrapped around the ring. The moment she touched it, everything changed. The ring felt warm, and then hot. A blue light started glowing from inside the metal. The strange marks on the ring began to move and change like they were alive. Oh my God, Richard whispered. The light got brighter and Lucy could feel energy moving up her arm. It did not hurt, but it felt strange, like electricity running through her body. She could hear sounds that were not really sounds, like voices, speaking in a language she had never heard but somehow understood. Let go of it, Lucy, Maria said. She sounded scared, but Lucy could not let go. The ring was showing her things. She could see space with black holes and bright stars. She could see the cracks Richard had talked about. They looked like cuts in the air with rainbow light pouring out of them. And she could see her father. Carlos Martinez stood inside one of the cracks. He was wearing a silver suit and holding a weapon that shot beams of light. Around him were 11 other men in the same silver suits. They were fighting something dark and terrible that wanted to pour out of the crack into normal space. Daddy, Lucy whispered. In her vision, Carlos turned and looked right at her. His face was older and tired, but his eyes were kind. He smiled and pointed to the ring on his hand. Then he pointed to Lucy. You have to finish what we started, his voice said inside her head. You're the only one who can. The vision ended, and Lucy let go of the ring. The blue light faded and the room became normal again. But Lucy did not feel normal. She could feel something new inside her, like a door had opened in her mind. What did you see? Richard asked. I saw Daddy. He was fighting monsters in the crack. He told me I have to finish what he started. Maria sat down hard in her chair. This is too much. Lucy is just 8 years old. Richard walked to a wall and pressed his hand against it. The wall turned into a big screen showing pictures of space. Lucy could see planets and ships in the cracks with rainbow light. These are the new cracks, Richard said. They started appearing 3 months ago. Small ones at first, but they're getting bigger every day. The pictures showed cracks near Earth and other human worlds. Some were small like windows. Others were huge like doors that could let whole spaceships through. What comes out of them? Lucy asked. Nothing good. The same dark things your father fought. We call them the Void Hunters. They eat energy and matter and grow stronger. If enough of them get into our space, they will consume everything. Richard pressed the wall again, and the pictures changed. Now Lucy could see human spaceships shooting at the cracks with lasers and missiles. The weapons went right through the cracks like they were not there. Our weapons can't hurt them. Our shields can't stop them. Normal humans can't even see them properly. They look different to everyone. But I can see them, Lucy said. She knew this was true even though she did not know how. Yes. The children of Unit 0 can see them as they really are. And more than that, you can fight them in ways we never could. Maria stood up and grabbed Lucy's shoulders. I won't let you put my daughter in danger. She's all I have left. I understand, Richard said. But let me show you what will happen if we do nothing. The screen changed again. This time it showed Earth, but something was wrong. The planet looked sick. Parts of it were gray and dead. Cities were empty and dark. This is what happened to the last planet the Void Hunters consumed. 12 billion people lived there. Now it's empty rock floating in space. Lucy felt cold all over. How long do we have? The scientists think maybe 6 months before the cracks get too big to stop. Maybe less. Richard walked over to a cabinet and opened it. Inside were more rings like the ones they wore. But these rings were dark and cracked. These belonged to the other Unit 0 soldiers. I collected them after they died. I've been trying to find their children for years, but most of them died young. The same energy that gave them abilities also made them sick. How many children were there? Maria asked. 15 that we know of. Lucy is the only one still alive who is old enough for the abilities to work properly. Lucy stared at the broken rings. Each one represented someone's father who died to save humanity. Each one represented a child who died too young because of what their parents did. The other children, how did they die? Richard looked very sad. The energy inside them was too strong. Their bodies could not handle it. Some died from fever, others just went to sleep and never woke up. Will that happen to me? Lucy asked. I don't know. You're different from the others. When you touched the ring just now, you controlled the energy instead of letting it control you. That's never happened before. Lucy looked at her mother's scared face and then at Richard's hopeful face. She thought about her father fighting monsters to save people. She thought about all the children on all the planets who would die if the Void Hunters got through. What do I have to do? Lucy asked. First, we need to teach you how to use your abilities safely. Then we need to find the biggest crack and seal it shut. If we can close that one, the others might close too. And if I can't do it? Richard was quiet for a long time. Then humanity will end and the Void Hunters will move on to the next galaxy. Lucy took her mother's hand. Maria was crying but trying not to show it. I want to try, Lucy said. Daddy would want me to try. 3 weeks later, Lucy stood on the deck of Richard's biggest spaceship looking out at the stars. She had never imagined space was so big and dark and beautiful. But now she could see things that other people could not see. She could see the cracks. They were everywhere. Small ones that looked like scratches on black glass. Medium ones that pulsed with sick rainbow colors. And far away, one crack so big it looked like a wound in space itself. That's the main one, Richard said. He stood next to her wearing a silver spacesuit like the ones from her vision. It's 3 times bigger than when we first found it. Lucy wore a smaller silver suit made just for her. Over the past weeks, Richard had taught her how to use her abilities. She could make blue light come from her hands. She could see the Void Hunters even when they were hiding. And she could touch things in the cracks without getting hurt. But every time she used her powers, she felt more tired. Sometimes her nose would bleed. Sometimes she would get so hot she had to lie down in a cold room. Are you ready? Richard asked. Lucy nodded, but she did not feel ready. She felt scared and small. The big crack looked like a mouthful of teeth waiting to eat her. Behind them, Maria sat in a chair looking out the window. She had not spoken much since they left Earth. Lucy knew her mother was angry and scared, but also proud. It was hard to feel all those things at once. Remember what we practiced, Richard said. Get close to the crack, but don't go inside. Use the ring to create a seal around the edges. The energy will try to fight you, but you're stronger than it is. What if I'm not strong enough? You are. You have to be. Lucy looked at the other spaceships. Flying with them, Richard had brought his whole fleet. Hundreds of ships with thousands of people. All of them were counting on an 8-year-old girl to save them. Sir, a voice said over the radio, we're getting readings from the main crack. Something's coming through. Lucy looked at the big crack and saw dark shapes moving inside it. The Void Hunters were getting ready to come into normal space. How many? Richard asked. More than we've ever seen. Maybe thousands. Lucy felt the ring around her neck getting warm. It was telling her that the time had come. She had to act now or it would be too late. Take me closer, she said. Lucy, wait, Maria said. She got up from her chair and ran to her daughter. I need to tell you something. Lucy looked at her mother's face. Maria had been crying, but now she looked strong and determined. Your father visited me in a dream last night, Maria said. He told me that no matter what happens, he's proud of you. And he said to tell you that being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you do what's right even when you are scared. Lucy hugged her mother tight. I love you, Mama. I love you too, baby. Come back to me. Richard piloted the ship closer to the main crack. As they got near it, the whole ship started to shake. The crack was so big that Lucy could see cities and forests on the other side, but they were dark cities and dead forests. This was the place the Void Hunters came from. I'm reading massive energy buildup, someone said over the radio. The crack is about to open completely. Lucy walked to the front of the ship. Through the big window, she could see the crack getting wider. Dark shapes were pressing against it from the other side, trying to break through. Lower the landing ramp, Lucy said. What? Richard looked shocked. You can't go outside. You'll die in space. No, I won't. The ring will protect me. Lucy had learned this during her training. When she wore her father's ring and used her abilities, she could survive in space for a short time. The alien energy created a bubble around her. Lucy, this is too dangerous, Maria said. Everything is dangerous now, Mama. But if I don't try, everyone will die. The landing ramp opened and Lucy walked to the edge. Space was cold and black and silent. She took a deep breath and stepped out into nothing. The ring glowed bright blue and surrounded her with a bubble of air and warmth. She could breathe and move like she was swimming in invisible water. She flew toward the giant crack, getting closer and closer to the dark shapes on the other side. The Void Hunters saw her coming. They looked like giant spiders made of shadow and hunger. Their eyes were red and full of hate. They pushed harder against the crack, trying to break through before Lucy could stop them. Lucy held up her hands and blue light poured out of them. She aimed the light at the edges of the crack and began to weave a net of energy. The net grew, bigger and stronger, but the crack fought back. Pain shot through Lucy's head and body. Blood came from her nose and mouth. The energy was burning her up from the inside, just like it had burned up her father. I can't hold it, she whispered. But then she heard voices. Not just her father's voice, but all the voices of Unit 0. The 11 men who had died with him were speaking to her through the rings. You're not alone, they said. We're with you. Finish what we started. Lucy screamed and pushed all of her energy into the net. The blue light got so bright, it lit up all the spaceships around her. The net wrapped around the crack and began to squeeze it shut. The Void Hunters shrieked and pushed back harder. Some of them broke through and came flying toward Lucy with claws and teeth ready to tear her apart. Lucy closed her eyes and made her choice. Lucy opened her eyes and saw the Void Hunters flying toward her with their claws ready to strike. But instead of running or hiding, she smiled. She finally understood what her father had discovered 17 years ago. The cracks were not just holes in space. They were doors. And doors could be changed. Instead of sealing the crack shut, Lucy grabbed its edges with her energy and pulled them in a different direction. The crack began to change shape. The dark red light inside it turned blue. The Void Hunters stopped flying toward her and looked confused. "What is she doing?" Richard's voice came through the radio. Lucy was rewriting the rules of space itself. She was not closing the door between dimensions. She was fixing it so humans could control it. The energy inside her burned hotter than fire, but she held on. Her father's ring glowed so bright it looked like a small star. The other Unit 0 rings that Richard carried on his ship began glowing, too, adding their power to hers. The giant crack stopped growing. Its edges became smooth and clean instead of torn and jagged. The rainbow light inside it turned steady and calm. The Void Hunters on the other side could not pass through anymore because Lucy had changed what the door would allow. But the energy was too much for her small body. Lucy felt herself getting weaker and weaker. Her vision went dark around the edges. Blood came from her mouth and ears. Then something impossible happened. Instead of dying like her father and the other Unit 0 soldiers, Lucy's body began to change. The alien energy was not destroying her. It was making her into something new. Her skin began to glow with soft blue light. Her eyes changed from brown to silver. Her hair floated around her head like she was underwater. She was becoming the first human who could live in both normal space and dimensional space at the same time. "Lucy." Maria's voice came through the radio. "What's happening to you?" "I'm okay, Mama," Lucy said. Her voice sounded different now, older and calmer but still kind. "I'm better than okay." Lucy turned to look at the other cracks scattered throughout space. With her new abilities, she could see all of them at once. There were thousands of them, but she was not afraid anymore. She flew from crack to crack, changing each one the same way she had changed the first. Some were small and easy to fix. Others were big and took more effort. But none of them fought her anymore. The alien energy recognized her as someone who belonged in both worlds. As she worked, Lucy discovered that she could do more than just fix the cracks. She could make them into useful things. Some became doorways that spaceships could fly through to travel instantly between star systems. Others became windows that scientists could use to study other dimensions safely. The Void Hunters retreated back to their dead worlds on the other side of space. They were not evil, Lucy realized. They were just hungry and lost. The cracks had been broken for so long that they had forgotten how to live in their own dimension. Lucy created special doorways for them too. Doorways that led to empty worlds, where they could hunt and feed without hurting anyone. For the first time in millions of years, the Void Hunters were happy. When all the cracks were fixed, Lucy flew back to Richard's ship. Her mother was waiting for her on the landing ramp with tears on her face. "Are you still my little girl?" Maria asked. Lucy landed softly, and the blue glow around her body faded to a gentle shimmer. She looked older now, maybe 12 instead of 8, but her smile was the same. "I'm still me, Mama, just different." Lucy hugged her mother and felt how warm and solid and real she was. Being able to exist in other dimensions had not made her forget about the importance of home. "What happens now?" Richard asked. Lucy looked out at the stars and the fixed cracks that were now glowing with peaceful blue light instead of angry red light. "Now humans can explore the whole universe," she said. "The doorways I made will let our ships travel anywhere instantly. We can visit other worlds and meet other people and learn new things. And the Void Hunters? They're not hunters anymore. They're just people who live in a different kind of space. Maybe someday we can be friends." Over the following months, Lucy helped Richard turn his company into something that served all humanity instead of just making him rich. They built the Martinez Foundation to help the families of soldiers who had died in secret wars. They created schools to teach other children about dimensional science. Lucy became humanity's first dimensional ambassador. She could travel instantly between worlds and translate languages that had never been heard by human ears. She met aliens who had been watching Earth for thousands of years, waiting to see if humans would learn to use the cracks wisely. "Your species is very young," one alien elder told her, "but you have something we lost long ago. You have the courage to sacrifice for others, and the wisdom to turn weapons into tools of peace." Lucy kept her father's ring, but she also wore a new one, made from the same alien metal. This new ring was not for sealing cracks or fighting monsters. It was for building bridges between worlds and bringing different people together. On quiet evenings, Lucy would sit with her mother and tell her stories about the amazing things she had seen in other dimensions. Maria would tell her stories about Carlos and how proud he would be of his daughter. "Do you miss being a normal little girl?" Maria asked one day. Lucy thought about this question for a long time. "Sometimes," she said. "But I think Daddy was right. We have to protect the people who can't protect themselves. And now I can protect everyone." The ring that had once belonged to a soldier who died saving his world now belonged to a girl who had saved the entire universe, and she was just getting started.